Mr. Dwight Cooper from the state of Washington.
I got that. Welcome to the NAESP National Leaders Conference and this, our annual business meeting. I thank you for your time away from your family and school so that you may participate in this leadership training and advocacy program on behalf of the colleagues back in your state. NAESP is a strong organization because of the dedication, leadership, and commitment of association members like you. I am humbled to stand before you as a candidate for the position of NAESP Vice President. During the years I sat where you're seated, I never envisioned speaking to you in this capacity. I can now empathize with the previous candidates and their trepidations from speaking from this podium. The pictures that I show you are of my 16-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter, and my never-aging wife. I thank them up front for the support that they provided me, especially my wife, who has supported me in my association work for the past 21 years at the local, state, and national level. Oh, by the way, they didn't get to select the pictures, I did, so for once I have the last say. I thank you for being patient while I shared my family with you. The reason I am so passionate about being a principal, and the reason I think we're all passionate about our profession, is because as principals, we have the extraordinary opportunity to influence and guide so many young lives. Many ways, in times that we'd never imagined. I will share a small moment with you. Several years ago, I received a call from a student I'll call Sean. It had been well over 12 years since Sean had left my school. When he called, he asked me whether I remembered him. Well, of course, I said yes. But the Sean I recalled was a quiet boy who seldom seemed happy and very seldom smiled. The Sean on the phone seemed confident and chuckled, telling me about his current life. Sean explained to me that he was in town for a family visit. We met for lunch. And as we waited for our orders, Sean became serious and asked me if I knew the most important lesson that I had taught him. Well, I guess I took too long reflecting because suddenly Sean blurted out, "How to hit a ball!" You see, Sean was not very athletic as a sixth grader. He was withdrawn and often played with younger kids or along the edge of the playground. He talked about how I would take the classes out for a reward recess and pitch the ball. Well, Sean came up to bat, but he didn't know how. And he remembered how I took him aside, showed him how to bat, and then repeatedly tossed the ball to him so he could hit it into the fence. He eventually got back into the game and actually got a hit. I had not thought of that day since until Sean expressed it to me in such detail. He emphasized that he was now on 2 teams in Portland and had a batting average of over 350. He had lots of friends and added, helping him learn to bat had changed his life. You can't always predict what it is that makes a difference in someone's life. A few years ago, Vernice Armour, who was known as Fly Girl, was a keynote speaker for NAESP conference. Captain Armour flew an attack helicopter in 2 tours of duty in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Her mantra, one mission, one goal, one team, captures the mindset needed to maintain laser focus, unity, and direction necessary to keep our troops safe and successful. I believe that we elementary and middle school principals can adopt this mantra as our own. One mission, one goal, one team. Our mission is to assist principals and assistant principals to fulfill the leadership responsibilities at their buildings. Our goal is to improve the educational opportunities for all boys and girls. And our team is NAESP, with member principals and assistant principals from elementary and middle schools from throughout our country and overseas. Together, we too can soar. I would be remiss if I did not devote a portion of my time to the culminating activity of the National Leaders Conference. Our advocacy with our senators, representatives, or their staff on behalf of our students, schools, communities, and fellow principals back in our states. I thank Kelly Pollock and the NAESP staff, as well as their counterparts in NAESP, for the advocacy preparation materials, including the archived webinar, National Leaders Conference Preparing for Capitol Hill, and the ESSA Toolkit. These resources have afforded each of us the opportunity to be more thoroughly prepared than ever before. Our duty, when we meet with our senators and representatives, is to boldly advocate for public education and to remind the representatives that, as Frederick Douglass once said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. One mission, one goal, one team. We come from 50 unique and independent states with 50 unique and independent associations. This week, we must speak with a unified voice as we advocate for our students, schools, communities, and fellow principals. I encourage you to keep in mind the support available to you via our association and our member colleagues from throughout the country. I have been honored and proud to serve on NAESP National Board. If you elect me as Vice President of NAESP, I will continue to advocate on behalf of our students, schools, and you, fellow elementary and middle school principals. I thank you for your service to our children and wish you a productive, successful, and rewarding National Leaders Conference, culminating with our advocacy work on the Hill. Thank you. Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. At this time, we will move into the question and answer portion of the presentation. Dwight, you have 2 minutes to respond to the following question. If you were given the opportunity to meet with Education Secretary DeVos, what would be the key issues you would want to discuss with her?
I will temper what I'll say. I would say something like, Madam Secretary, thank you for meeting with me. I represent over 20,000 elementary and middle level principals who are all members of NAESP, the National Association of Elementary School Principals. I'd like to share with you 3 of our legislative priorities. Number 1, we support the Title I grants. These funds need to remain as formula grants to help disadvantaged children from low-income schools. We oppose the portability of Title I because that would dilute these funds and possibly go to support schools that are high achieving and low income, which is not the purpose of Title I. Number 2, we oppose vouchers and tax credits because that would reduce the public funding for public education, and it would go to private schools. We also request that the federal government work to incrementally increase funding for IDEA, which is the Individual Disability Education Act, until we reach the 40% federal funding level, which was in the original legislation back in 1975. And the third, we advocate that the federal government fund Title II Part A at no less than the ESSA allocated $2.3 billion over the 2017-18 fiscal year, and that these funds are critically important for the professional development of teachers, principals, and middle school principals, elementary and assistant principals, building our capacity to better implement the programs associated with ESSA. And now I ask you, Madam Secretary, how will the federal government ensure that all students have equal access to a free and appropriate public education under your tenure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Now we'll move to the second question, which Dwight will select randomly. Again, the candidates do not know these specific questions, only the nature of them. Are you ready, Dwight?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Oh, they were that close and I couldn't look. None of them are double folders.
Okay, Dwight, your second question is, the health and wellness of principals is a growing concern. What do you feel needs to happen in order for this concern to be properly addressed?
Where's the Jeopardy theme music when you need it? We have to work for balance in our life. We have to realize that just like the inundation of email, we never get caught up with that each day. You are never going to be caught up with what you have to get done as a principal each day. We need to get moving to stay healthy. We have to eat healthy. We need to find possibly a mentor or a collaborator to help us with that task. I think if we adopt a collaborative leadership model that takes less stress off of us, it helps build relationships, and we all need a hug once in a while. We need to take time to reflect, to see where we're at, to see what we've achieved, and to see where we're going to go, which then helps take away some of that stress so you can go to sleep that night. But again, I think it's the routine physical activity and just caring for yourself that would be paramount. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dwight, and good luck.
Thank you.